After this deep yajna, ahutis, Gayatri mantra ahutis, Mahamudra mantra ahutis, let us take a little pause and think about our current life situation, where we are, what is going around, and what we see in the current times and the current circumstances. Almost all people in the world, I'm saying almost all, not everybody, but almost all people in the world, they experience that their mind is restless, agitated, unbalanced. And is there anybody who finds that situation? Mind is not calm and peaceful? Sometimes, yes. And not only that, we also find that ourselves sometimes in the situation of a victim, and sometimes we find ourselves in the situation of an aggressor or oppressor also. What is going around is that we see that there is a lot going around in terms of nature and in terms of human mind. The aggression of nature and the man mind both are at very extremes. And with that, what has happened that the nature has changed, become very aggressive, and the human mind has also become very aggressive. The situation is such that almost these aggressions have destroyed all the human values, and even they have ruined the purpose of life. Sometimes, don't we feel like that we are getting roasted alive? That kind of feeling comes. Last month we celebrated the 150th birthday of Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji once said that what we are what our thoughts have made us. So take care of what we think. Words are secondary, thoughts live and they travel far. So what we are, it is all a result of what kind of thoughts we harbor in our mind. So clearly, when we look at the problems in our life, either at personal or at a global level, we find that the problem and the solution both are powered by the thoughts. Thoughts that we allow to intrude and dominate our mind. The dominating thoughts in our mind are either the source of the problem or the source of the solution, and that we have to fix. But the tragedy is that the thoughts being so powerful, we have no control, almost no control on our thoughts. What do you think? Means we have more control that who enters in our home, more control who enters in our car rather than what thoughts enter in our mind. What a tragedy. So the theme is very clear, the task is very clear, and the priorities are almost clear and set. The first order of business, if we want something better in our life, better in this world, is to tame and calm down the ferocious, turbulent, boiling mad minds of man. That's a tall order, huge order. Second thing is that not only that we have to calm it down, but we have to anchor it in the wisdom of Dharma. Until the mind is anchored in the wisdom of Dharma, it is going to be turbulent. And finally, we have to propel this mind after grounding it on the ground of wisdom of Dharma. We have to propel this mind on the path of creativity, generosity, and seva. Only then a man can become a better human being. So this is a big task and requires bigger tools, bigger techniques to achieve this success. Acharya Sriram Sharma, as I talked in the context of Guru Pujan, he was the founder of Gayatri Parivar and our Gurudev. He has done a lifetime of research in discovering the root cause of the current problems. And his conclusions are like this. He says that the physical problems do really spring out from the depths of the human mind. So any physical problem that we are seeing, if you trace the root cause, it goes to the human mind, to the depths of the human mind. He writes कि स्थूल समस्याओं की जड़ मानस में होती है, अतः जड़ का मूल कारण का इलाज करना चाहिए. The problem is how to fix this root cause. Yes, we have to fix the root cause directly, immediately, efficiently, and for that Acharya continues to say that the ferocious human mind is the real trigger behind ever-increasing natural catastrophe. Does it occur to your mind that a tsunami is coming, that an earthquake is coming? It could be triggered by the human mind. That's what Acharya kind of concludes, that it is all getting created by the aggressive and ferocious nature of the human mind, and these things are increasing day by day. So he says, well, not only that natural problems, but other problems in the world that are staining the humanity, they are also caused by the human mind, ferocious nature of the human mind. And he says that the real dharma only can help fix this problem. This is a gigantic problem which is even jeopardizing the survival of man himself, and the only real dharma is going to solve this problem. A lot of other things have been tried, a lot of other philosophies have been tried to fix the human problem, from communism to capitalism to whatnot, from democracy to the autocracy and whatnot, but nothing has really solved these problems. And then he said that what is this real dharma and how it is going to help us. So we are going to have a quick recap about dharma and how it is going to help us in our current situations. So Gurudev says that dharma is really definitely not religion as the word is understood. So that is just a negative definition. You want to separate dharma and religion here. And then he comes down and he says there are three basic key dharmic precepts of the principles. The very first precept of dharmic living is the pavitra vichar, the noble thoughts. The second, he says, is the sarva hitkari bhavana, that is the altruistic emotions for the well-being of all. And third, he says kartavya parayanata, that is another key precept of his dharma, and that means the committed sense of duty or responsibility. So if you really want to remember this, vichar, bhav, kartavya, that is thought, emotion and action. So tomorrow when you wake up, how are you going to remember? We heard a lot of things, talked a lot of things. Remember, when you take the first sip of tea in the morning, TEA, thought, emotion and action. Hold these three things in your mind whenever you see a cup of tea. And think that the real dharma is all about preventing this tea from falling down, preventing our thoughts, emotions and actions from falling down. That is the practical real dharma, as Gurudev says. And not only that, how do you prevent it from falling down? Suppose I have a small thin stick and I have to keep that stick straight. And if I take my hands off, the stick is going to fall down. Until that stick gets a support of either hand or it is dug up into the ground, this is going to fall down. Same is the situation of our tea, of our thoughts, emotions and actions. Until and unless our thoughts, emotions and actions are supported by some strength, some strong force, they are going to be pulled down by our animal instincts and all kind of fatal attractions that we are attracted towards. So, where is that source of strength that is going to keep this, our thought, emotion and action that axis straight and up and without falling? Ishwar is the only source of strength, my friend, that is going to prevent our thoughts, emotions and actions from falling down and to save our mind from all these destructive attractions. Now the question comes, we know where is the source of strength, we know what we need to do, we need to tap into that strength, and how are we going to tap into that strength? The source of all the virtues, superlative virtues and strength that is going to make us, help us become better human beings. And even before we go there, let us try to understand what we mean by a better human being. It's a tall order. Everybody is confused. We all the time talk. Means either it's a time of telling something to your child, or it's a boss telling you. Everybody says become better. What does that mean in practical terms? First thing, a better human being means uttam chintan. Excellence in thinking. When I say Uttam Chintan, there is an Uttam Bhai. So, don't think about him all the time. Excellence in thinking. Uttam means excellence. The next thing is Ujjwal Charitra. Very important. A shiny, bright, spotless character. Until we have that, we are still approaching, we are not reached to that level of better human being. And finally, Sevamay, Udar, Vyavhar, that Gurudev says, a generous, service-centered behavior. These three elements make us a better human being. Again, it is thinking, character and behavior. Heart and your emotions make your character and behavior. So these three three things, this becoming the quest of becoming a better human being, thrusts us into the sadhana movement, the sadhana andolan as Gurudev calls it. And this sadhana andolan, what it is? The sadhana andolan is a process of training us that how we are going to prevent our thoughts, emotions, and actions from degenerating and falling. So far so good? Everybody is together? Alright, so there is another secret coming now. 3-letter. You have to remember the secret that is going to help you from preventing your tea from falling down. That secret is, I think it's a very open secret, it's called USA. Alright? Is it a secret? It's a code word, okay? So how is this USA going to prevent the degeneration of our thoughts, emotions and actions? And how is this USA is going to raise our level of thinking? Do you really think USA can do that? Thinking, character, behavior, everything? Well, if you uncover the secret, Gurudev says that you have to crack the code and then practice it in your life. So the U, first letter of USA, U is for Upasana. If we bring Upasana in our life, there is definitely going to help with these two things. What? Preventing our trajectory going down and raising our thoughts and emotions, thoughts, characters and behavior up. Now the question is, we are sitting in a temple, right? We are doing a puja. What is Upasana? Well, Upasana is all about one thing, that is experiencing the presence of Ishwar everywhere. It is nothing else. Upasana has only one purpose, to experience the presence of Ishwar everywhere. When you are driving on a highway and your radar blinks, what do you sense? What do you experience? There is a cruiser around, right? But this radar in our mind never blinks, right? We never experience that presence of Ishwar. In our intellectually we say, yeah, Bhagwan सब जगह है, कण में है, all blah blah blah. But we act exactly opposite as if Bhagwan is totally missing in action. Not watching us, not looking us, not recording anything. So Upasana, the secret is that we feel the presence of Ishwar everywhere. That means there is no place existing where Ishwar is not present. And another thing is that about Upasana also helps us in experiencing that our thoughts and actions both have consequences. You cannot think a thought which has no consequence. You cannot perform an action which has no consequence. So this is my thought, my action, and there is a consequence. Right? So Upasana also tells us that we own the responsibility of those consequences that are created by our thoughts and our action, and Upasana helps us experience this. This consequence is called, this action of thought and action is called karma, and the consequence is called phala. So everybody has heard that famous shloka of Gita, karmanye adhikaraste. But the point is that we do not control all the variables that create the outcome or that create the phala. So yes, we own the responsibility for our action, but we do not really own the results. And when we do the Upasana, we sit near our chosen deity, Saraswati Mata, Hanumanji, Gayatri Mata, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, Ram Parivar, our chosen deity, our Isht. Isht means the goal. We sit near them. And why you sit near somebody anyway? We go to somebody, meet somebody, want to sit near them. Why? Simply because we want to enrich ourselves, right? You don't want to sit near somebody who is going to create troubles in your life or going to make you mad. We want to sit with somebody to enrich ourselves. So we want to sit near our chosen deity to enrich ourselves, to enrich our hearts and emotions with the superlative strength and qualities and the virtues that our Ishta is representing, symbolizing. And all the vigrah that you see in the pictorial representation of all these Devis and Devatas, they symbolize certain virtues and strength that we want to bring in our life. Now you are going to say, well, so I come to Mandir, I am sitting here Hanumanji, am I going to get his strength, his wisdom, and all those things that Hanumanji is known for? All those things that Hanumanji's temples are more than Bhagwan Ram's temple. Why? Just sitting here is enough. Is it going to happen? Does it really work? Well, I think you have experienced sitting near a fireplace. When you sit near a fireplace, what happens? You feel warm. So process works. When you sit near, that exchange happens. So when you are really sitting near Hanumanji, really, I said really, then that exchange begins. When you are sitting near Saraswati Mata, that exchange begins. And that is what Upasana is, my friends. So remember the code USA, U is for Upasana, and what is this going to help us with? Going to help us our thoughts and emotions from falling down. And the second step is called S is sadhana. The S of USA is for sadhana. So building upon the foundation of Upasana, yes, we are doing Upasana, enriching our thoughts and minds and emotions, and then that is just not enough. We have to practice it. Practice it what? We have to practice purity in our life, and we have to practice the balanced living in our life. Then that simply becomes sadhana. Sadhana is not twisting you around in very different positions, torturing yourself with a lot of things. No, that is not sadhana. Sadhana is when we practice pure or pavitra jivan, when we practice a simple, balanced, sattvic life, then it becomes a natural and simple sadhana. So, two things, two codes are known, U for Upasana, S for sadhana, and third secret is Aradhana. Well, what is Aradhana? Well, so you are doing Upasana, you are doing sadhana, and now what? Magic happens in your life. You start benefiting from this life-changing sadhana, your mind becomes pure, your life becomes balanced, you are balanced, you are happy, and then you start feeling that your life has taken off on a bright futuristic path. You are in a bright future, moving towards a bright future. So tell me, if such a magic is happening in your life, who would not feel inspired and excited to share this news with your family and friends? You get a nice good coupon for shopping, huge discount. What do you do first thing? Call your best friend, hey, there is a coupon in the shop, go to call 30% discount and $10 bonus off. So you want to share some thoughts, some ideas that you have found that are benefiting you, and so this is the biggest idea you have found, that Upasana, Sadhana and Aradhana has launched your life into the path of bright future. You want to share it with the people, and that sharing, my friends, is the Aradhana or the Seva. We can do Seva in many forms. Somebody is hungry, we give him food, somebody is needing clothes, we give clothes, somebody is sick, we take him to the hospital. Seva can be categorized in many categories. One is called Pida Nivarana. Somebody is suffering, we have to alleviate the suffering. Suvidha Sambardhan, somebody needs some help, we provide that. But the biggest seva Gurudev says is the Patan Nivarana. Patan means that falling thoughts, emotions and actions. If we can prop those up back, that is what sadhana, Aradhana is all about, and that is the third code of the USA. So remember, when you go home, don't have to remember too many things. We are sitting here for almost 2 hours, but remember the chai and the USA. Alright. So when you start acting on this inspiration, that becomes your seva. And Jnana Yajna is the best form of the seva, my friends. And one more thing, when you start doing this Aradhana, this seva of spreading this Jnana Yajna, when you give your time for this sadhana andolan, you have to know that in your heart that the ferocity of the human mind is going to calm down, it's going to help to bring a bright future. And when you do this sadhana movement, how are you going to do it successfully? Very key point here I want to make. The very first thing is that if you are to engage in the sadhana movement, first thing you have to be inspired yourself. If you yourself is not inspired and fired up, your message nobody is going to listen. First thing. Second thing is that when you keep yourself inspired and keep your family and friends inspired. Because if your family and friends are not inspired, only you are inspired, then people will think that this guy is mad. Right? So you have to keep the whole your sphere of life inspired. And one more thing is that when you want to pass on this message, and how you are going to pass on the message? By talking and by doing something. You have to choose the topic of conversation, to strike a conversation to pass on this message. And when you choose the topic of conversation, ask yourself only 1 or 2 questions. First question is that, is the topic of my conversation going to raise the thoughts, emotions and actions of the person I am going to talk to? Whenever in doubt, should I talk on this topic or not, ask just one question. Is it going to help the person whom I am talking to raise their teeth? And another thing is that, is my conversation and action going to help them live an ideal life of purity and balance? If the answer is yes, go ahead, make every effort to make that conversation happen. If the answer is no, review the topic that you have chosen and then change the topic and bring it back to that focus where it is going to raise the thoughts, emotion, and action and bring the purity and balance in the life. So the motto of this movement is pure intellect or Sarbuddhi for all and bright future for all. Who does not want it? Which person belonging to any faith, belonging to any country, any community, everybody is looking for these two things. Everybody wants a bright future, a better future than in which they are right now, and they also want Sadbuddhi or the pure intellect. When you go with this message, there is no conflict. You can definitely find some elements and to package this message that everybody feels that they are coming from their own sampradaya or their own faith or whatever. And one final thing before we conclude this evening's this reflection, and that is, when you go to tell this message to people, also do not forget to communicate the assurance of Acharya Sri Ram Sharma. He is a Yuga Rishi. There is a whole life legacy he has left behind, and one assurance he has given, and very important it is. He says that if you practice this Jivan Sadhana that we just discussed, it will do two things. It will provide you protection from the worst harm that you can imagine. Half of the time we are scared and so anxious that this harm is going to fall on me and that is going to happen, what my life is going to become. He says if we practice Jivan Sadhana of this pure thoughts, balanced life and all, it will protect us from the worst harm. And the second thing is that it will grow your happiness and it will raise the auspicious abundance in your life. This is what we are striving for. This is what we came, left our home and whatnot, never achieved all those things. Sukh and Saubhagya. This is what this Jivan Sadhana is going to bring to us. So to sum it up, Sadhana movement's goal is to train people into the art and craft of the life, how to live this life and help them practice it every day. Are you ready for that? If you are ready, then what are you waiting for? There is a beautiful song, Sangeeta ji and Nita is going to present. Yes, samay Sankranti ka hai. Sankranti means a time of very rapid change. And haath par jo haath rakhkar tumra baitho. Let us enjoy this song and then we'll go for the pull-down.